Vamps is here. Nice surprise to see you so early. Give me a moment. So yesterday I read and then talked about with our friend. I'm going to put my shoes on as we talk. We're going to have another Mr. Rogers moment. Holographs. Holograph is in which a tiniest portion of the whole. Hey there, Marlon. Marlon says hi there, Mikati. And the Empire says, hello, peeps. Empire, how are you, my friend? By the way, that was another powerful sermon. Lee's here. Magnetic North Adventure says, so everyone, hello, my friend. Walking with Goldie's here says, hi again, lovely people. Hello, Walking with Goldie. How are you, my friend? Hi again, lovely people. Hello, Walking with Goldie. Sorry. Goldie was saying these, Vamps was saying these golds are, these crowns are interesting. Yeah, some people like them, some people don't. You know what? It all depends on how we interpret them. As everything, what an important lesson. They're really just marks on a screen. Don't mean anything until we give them some meaning. Some people interpret them in a competitive way, which isn't bad. Nothing is good or bad unless thinking makes it so, said Shakespeare. And I was like showing off, quoting a little bit of Shakespeare. And some people like to interpret them as this is how YouTube explained them, as has been brought to my attention, as a means of encouraging people to engage in the conversation more, which is always a good thing, especially what we talk about. So, which brings to mind, the things that I talk about are just the things that I talk about. In no way is it meant to convince anyone that this is the way they should think, or it's the right way of thinking, or anything like that. This is just as offered through my own study of Course in Miracles, my own study of Taoism, yoga, Buddhism, most exclusively yoga and A Course in Miracles, as well as my upbringing going through Catholic school, which, you know, man, when I first dove into yoga and let's say other metaphysical concepts, maybe particularly shamanism, I did my best to leave all that behind, only to realize I didn't have to. Didn't have to at all. Oh, good morning, Kat. How are you? Kat says, good morning, friends. North says, Eric, I love you being so accepting of everyone. Thank you, Lee. And I hope you see that as a reflection of yourself, my friend, because you are exactly the same. Cody says, yes, I remember someone having their backup when they first landed here. Amazing. It's an amazing story, actually. It didn't take long until a true friendship was forged. He says, I do, and thank you means a lot. Marlon says, hi to Goldie. Cat's waving at Goldie. Goldie's a truly modest person, but I do want to share that from that bit of a rocky start, Goldie has become quickly became a true heartfelt friend that I value so much, and in some pretty tough times, has reached out um, in a way that is truly meaningful and catches me off guard. My own little wall that I sometimes have trouble breaking through. It is not me against the world. It is not even me against anyone or anything. It's not even me and a world separate. It's everything. It's love. I wrote about that this morning. Let me read what I wrote this morning, if anyone is interested. I titled it Infinitely Onward. We can offer each other the kingdom. Right now, an extension of heaven is given just by this recognition, and it's with this gift that we proceed throughout life. This isn't a metaphysical concept nor a spiritual technique to bring about a sense of peace. It's literal, heartfelt, and heart extended. As we recognize ourselves as love, already at home within the kingdom of heaven, our only wish becomes to share, extending this gift to others, infinitely onward. And again, the language, the thoughts, the concepts might not resonate with everyone. For me, it's just a message of how I wish to live my life. I want to live my life in recognition that I am extension in not personality. My personality is not for everyone. My innermost being is God's love. And it's that I extend. I don't extend my personality onward infinitely so. Man, that would suck. That would suck for everyone. I extend God's love that's found within. For me, this is the entirety of um, the kingdom of heaven is found within. So we're going to talk for about 15 more minutes, thereabouts. Get outside, finally put my other shoe on. Hey, Easy Home Cooking. Hello, my friend. We got some love from Goldie. Thank you, Goldie. Oh, okay. Goldie says you may share it. So Goldie, one second, guys. Let me grab my other shoe. Yeah. Plus, I had a cat hair in my mouth. Cat hair is everywhere. My cats don't even shed. All right. Goldie came in. Our first conversation. We met, and I had forgotten that we actually met on Mayhem or Miracles. And I misremembered. I thought that we had met somewhere else and that she introduced me to Masha, but it wasn't that way. And she came in. I don't remember the exact words, but it was along the lines of, I am a Christian and I do not believe in yoga. I do not like yoga. That's quite an announcement to someone who calls himself just a yogi. However, for whatever reason, well, I can tell you exactly the reason, because she's Goldie. And because she may not resonate with yoga, or even a lot of what I say and share, she resonates with me, and I resonate with her. And we came along and decided to be friends. That was it. We decided it didn't matter. And she has offered me a very, she's opened me up. I talked about this with Kat. I had a rocky relationship for a long time with Jesus, even following the Course of Miracles. I'd preferred to use the term Holy Spirit, and sometimes not even that. I didn't want to use Christian language. I wanted to reinterpret it to what was suited to me. So I would use the Tao or Brahma. And Goldie really helped me open up my relationship, that I could accept the entirety of A Course in Miracles has actually been given as the word of Jesus. Now, not every Christian is going to read that and say, yes, they were the words of Jesus. It doesn't matter. Gordy says, that was a statement. It was a statement. But it didn't affect us at all. Serpent says, did Downhill make the transition, Cat and Jack? Cat says, I don't know. Thanks for the like, Easy Home Cooking. North says, always interested. I commented on the short, just one. That sums it up. Thank you so much, Lee. Goldie says, did I say hi to Magnetic? North says, Goldie, I subscribe to you. Awesome. Easy Home Cooking says, welcome with Goldie. Hello, friend. Simple says, Cat and Jack, I'm wearing a shirt today that has two of the colors I will be transmitting to the colorless triangle. I will consciously think now with intent and fill the void. Empire says, what was the issue with Christian language viewpoints? Haven't gone to Catholic school, having not enjoyed Catholic school day one onwards, anything about it. Kat talked about this this morning, actually, having been instilled with a deep sense of guilt and being told that that's what I'm supposed to live with. Everything. It did not resonate. It did not, however, the fact that the language and the religion or the faith didn't agree with me doesn't mean that I didn't have a deep relationship with. Hey, Donald Hill. Okay, I showed up. Where's Yogi in the basement? I'm actually in my office right now. So right now it's just a Yogi in his office talking about stuff. But I can't keep changing my name. And I don't even do that many burpees anymore. Mainly kettlebell stuff. Still do burpees every day. So, when very early on, I got into studying shamanism, yoga at a really early age, Buddhism. I just wanted to leave Christianity behind, which is fine. Not everyone needs to be a Christian or wants to be a Christian. However, what I found was just because I wanted to leave the language and the concepts of Christianity behind didn't mean that I needed or wanted or even wanted to leave Christ behind. Empire says, yeah, Catholicism is pretty wild, to be honest. The theology within that religion is pretty flawed when compared with the actual Bible itself. I wouldn't blame you for having an issue, having an issue with them. Here's what I do like about Catholic faith. I could proceed my life in one of sin and forgetfulness, and at the very end of my life, I can turn to a priest and say, oops, my bad, I'm sorry. And the priest is like, well, that's all you need to do. You're saved. Go to heaven. I used to joke with people that what allows me to be a Buddhist is at the end of my life, I can say, sorry, Buddha. I'm going back to Jesus, and Jesus accepts me, and all is good. However, as my own heart tells me, Jesus just accepts and accepts and accepts and accepts. Christ, all accepting. There's no exclusion in the kingdom. There's no little corner of a kingdom for this belief, that belief, someone else's belief. There is just the extension of the kingdom itself, infinitely onward. Donald says, I'm hitting the little heart button, sending the positive vibes. Thank you, Donald. You know what, Donald? Right off the bat, let's add you as a mod. Cat says hi, William. Hey, William. Cody says, I believe it's been over 2 years since that statement was made. It has been. Yep. And not only that, um, Goldie was so hugely responsible for helping me get monetized, for helping me get where I am subscriber wise for my channel being where it is, for helping me refine my message over and over and over again, and for to not being above of calling me out as she did in my own sadness and depression, saying, "Hey, quit acting like you're alone because you're not alone." What a beautiful thing to do to a friend, to do for a friend. Um, as well as, offer me a different viewpoint because uh, spiritually, in our beliefs, we don't agree with each other on everything, but there's an immense respect, and I gain a valuable perspective from Goldie. So not only that, the past popes have had their own elite assassins, and if one was really deep dive, I would look into the extreme oath of the Jesuits. I always resonated with Franciscans. Just a simple life, giving yourself to God as expressed through life, nature, animals, serving others. Let's see. Donald says, I don't have much experience with yoga, but I'm fascinated by the Tumo inner fire meditation. Um, yeah, somewhere. Don't laugh at me, cat. I know where it is. I'll dig it out. It's on my, oh, there it is. Um, I'll dig it out next conversation. It's on the top shelf. The bliss of the inner fire. Um, most traditionally found with Buddhism. When we get to Tantric Buddhism, especially Dzogchen and that inner metaphysical aspect, it has more related to yoga as well as shamanism. Yoga and shamanism are basically the same thing. When the original yogis, the rishis, which are the wise men, how did they get yoga? Two ways. They sat and listened. Squirrel likes to call it download. Um, Downloading. The universe downloads its information to you, but you need to be receptive. You need to learn how or remember how to sit and listen to the song of the cosmos, what it sings to you, what it whispers to you. You got to learn how to dance. You got to hang up your mirror disco ball and give it a spin and watch the crows dance, watch the crows boogie, and get a little funky with life sometimes, guys. And that's how you get information. The other way, they would watch. Miss Pippa says, "Hello, mirror disco ball." Hey, Miss Pippa. Thank you for the conversation yesterday. The watching animals, watching how animals move and why they move. More importantly, not just how they move, but why they move in a certain way. And that's how we got the postures. Yoga is the original shamanism. A very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Intellectual study of our innermost condition. When the self drops off and the universe truly, truly begins. Let's see. Empire says the extreme devotion to the Pope, almost as much as God, is wild, along with the fact that they actively pray to angels and dead saints and encourage its adultery according to the Ten Commandments. I often wonder, at what point do you think the Old Testament should leave off completely and allow the new? I don't want to get in a theologic or theoretical discussion, only because I only have about 5 minutes left before I head outside. But at some point, I always thought the Old Testament should leave off, hey, signature, and the New Testament should be allowed to take a life of its own, no longer bound by laws that were meant to be applied towards a desert roaming tribe. Just my thoughts. Signature, nice to see you, my friend. Good morning, Skits. Kat says, I actually pray to angels and dead saints. I actively pray. I actively pray and allow prayer to be expressed through me, hoping, not successful, hoping that my life can be an extension of that prayer. North says, Mirrored Crow Disco Ball. Well, you know what? We all love the nightlife. And some of us, we have to boogie. Another little synchronistic event. Miss Bipper, I have heard of Walter Russell, and someone a little bit ago mentioned him. And then as I brought Amazon up to look for something, I don't remember what I was looking for. It had nothing to do with Walter Russell. The name popped up as a suggestion for me to read. How odd is that? Odd. Synchronistically so. Skits, I hope you're having a good day, my friend. Donald says, boogie woogie, brother. Amen to that, my friend. So I need to head on over real quick to Donald Hill's channel to make sure I subscribe so I don't forget. Done. Beautiful dogs, my friend. Hit all notifications. All right, guys, in just a minute, I'll head out. Empire says, I would be happy to get into one with you. I know you would. And rebuttal your view of the Old Testament versus the New Testament, perhaps one day. Definitely one day. Well, let's not call it a debate. Let's call it a discussion amongst friends with a differing view. Miss Pepper says, listening to the universe. So, man, since our conversation and then the conversation I had last night before I was interrupted with song, my own songs. And by the way, thanks for putting up with my singing, guys. I started going through Deepak's book, The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire. And I love that title, The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire. Aligning ourselves with the cosmos and allowing that to work with us, through us. Rose says, could it be said the Tao is synonymous with the Bible? The true essence cannot be conveyed with words. I feel it also becomes its own form of adultery, such even to suggest emphasizing God, universe, etc. I wouldn't say the Tao is synonymous with the Bible. And I would say you're right. The true essence cannot be conveyed with words. The Tao begins with that. I was talking about this yesterday. Amazing how the Tao begins with the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao, and then proceeds to tell you about the Tao for 81 chapters. It's also, and of course, Miracles, it says, words are but symbols twice removed, and we say God is, and then fall into silence, because anything that's said afterwards is just a concept. And Zen, they say, don't confuse the finger pointing at the moon with the moon. Hey, Vlogs, my friend. How are you? Donald says, I'm going to do my first live maybe this Saturday or Sunday. Hey, Donald, if you get the opportunity, when you get everything set up to do your live, drop the link here and we'll be there. Cass says, that's awesome, Donald. I'm working weekends, but we'll try to keep an eye on you. Out for you. Block says, I'm good. How are you? I'm good, my friend. Miss Pepper says, true essence is to be experienced. So, yeah, William. Miss Pepper says, walking with Goldie, that is a blessed way. Goldie says, we don't know what's in the heart of the people. One thing I love of Eric is him being thankful as soon as he wakes up. Yep, as I mentioned, I got that straight from Meister Eckhart, paraphrasing his famous prayer. If the only prayer one ever says the entirety of their life is thank you, God, that alone would be enough. Thank you. When we practice a life of gratitude, we are giving more and more to be grateful of. It's just a simple matter of recognition. All right, guys, 2 minutes. The sun's starting to peek out. Skit says, Yogi, smile, bro. You always bring a smile to my face, Skits. Skits. Only Skits could get me to sing Bob Marley. Only Skits and Jace could get me to sing Bob Marley. Lee says, doing good, thanks. I pray everyone is as well for everyone. Thank you, Lee. Kat says, or Carl says, good morning, y'all. Good morning, Carl. Thanks for coming in, my friend. Empire says, I'm going to make some killer pancakes when I get home because I feel like being a big back. Make enough for all of us. Don't leave us out on the pancakes. William says, very well then. Good day, everyone. Have a good day, William. As always, thanks for popping in. Kat says, have an amazing walk, Yogi. Kat, thank you, my friend. What's on the agenda for today? Goldie says, Eric, is the airport shiny enough for the flies? Is the airport shiny enough for flies? I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've been to the airport. Jesus was a smarty pants. I believe so. Cat is mowing. Sniper says the reason Jesus spoke in parabolic behavior is classic to show truth must be found and never told. Only trust your resonant frequency. Miss Pippa says, I love Chrissy McCall's version of Thank You for the Day. I'm going to have to look that up, Miss Pippa. If you want to share it, let me know. Kat, you should, when I get back from my walk, you should take a mowing break and have a cup of tea with me. Or coffee. Goldie says, made you smile? You did make me smile. You always do. Hope nature greets and blesses you. I think it will. Hey, North, have you ever read any John O'Donohue? I think it would really resonate with his writing. It's Celtic Christianity, nature-based wisdom, poetically told. Absolutely beautiful. Carl says, no, he'll lock you in the basement. I've only locked 2 people in the basement. You and our friend Joshua Edits, who changed his name to Joshua Edits in Yogi's basement. Cat's laughing with Carl. Log says, welcome with Goldie, nice channel. YouTube, I'm joining. Send you. Awesome. North says, I will look into it and send me a link. I will, for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to head out and as Lee says, I'm going to greet nature. Carl says, Jace run away from the basement. Jace keeps dragging me back in the basement to do burpees with him. Every time I think I got both feet out of the burpee world, Jace, Reaper, poor man's Jim, dragging me back in. Vlog says, I'm good. Indian charge. There's a deep, deep Christian foundation in uh, India, and I love the uniqueness that they bring to the teachings of Jesus. Paramahansa Yogananda, who was one of my very first forays into the innermost teachings of yoga, wrote several books on Jesus in the Bhagavad Gita, Jesus in yoga. Really awesome teaching. Look to the say, for it is life. Beautiful. What says, bye all. Salutation of the dawn. I have done my sun salutations for the morning. So, I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk for about an hour. If anyone would like to reach out and have a cup of tea with me a little bit later, let me know. All right, with that, Donald says, are you doing military burpees? Probably more prison style burpees. Four count, six count. It's been a while since I've done Navy SEALs, but I do like doing them. Carl says, take care. You too, Carl. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of our existence. The blog says, I'm Hindu. Nice classic friends. Good all supporting you guys. Thank you, vlogs. If I had to pinpoint what I am, I always tell people, I'm just a yogi. I practice yoga. I practice kindness. That's it. The entirety of my faith. What a perfect example of infinite kindness you get in Jesus. So it's easy to incorporate Jesus in my life. The glory of action, the bliss of growth, the splendor of beauty. Beautiful. Palm Hall, third tier burpees. Hey, if you get a chance, the next time, share me something from that. I'm not familiar with that. Goldie says, awesome, Miss Blipper. With some love. All right, guys, I will see you all later today. I'll be live again at 1 and at, as Selma says, 5:25. Love you guys. Take care.